I'm Trevor Turner. Once lost, now living on purpose. I know what it's like to feel locked out of your own potential. This show is for the ones who are ready to take their power back and write a new story 1 hour at a time. You can do it. You can do anything, and you don't need permission. That's why I started the free hour, to give people the space to change their story, to remind them you are not your past, you are not your mistakes, you are not done, you are powerful. You can find freedom, you can find yourself, and you decide what happens next.
Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the free hour. It's your boy Trevor Turner, and we are back with another video. We are back with another episode of the free hour ABCs, the ABCs of Tree, and this is our productivity series where we align effort with purpose and build habits that actually move us forward. Because productivity without purpose is just busy work. And we're on the letter I today. Are you busy or are you intentional? Because one leads to burnout and the other one leads to results. What drives the way that you spend your time? Is it distractions or is it deliberate choices? See, I remember when I was just spinning my wheels, before that I had found my purpose, before I had found goals, before I found what I wanted to do. This was before I had got locked up. Now, in a lot of people's eyes, I was doing a lot. I was doing a lot of movement. I was making a lot of money. There were a lot of things going on. But one of the things that was happening is that I was getting burnt out. I was spinning my wheels. I was just surviving. I was not anywhere close to thriving, at least not in the sense that everybody else thought I was doing. Everyone else from the outside looking in saw somebody who had it all, seemingly. And this might tie in a lot to where we're at today. Because a lot of us are in these places where we thought we wanted to get to, where we thought we would have it all put together, where we thought we would have it all figured out. And we don't. We're outwardly successful. We seem to have all the materialistic things, but we're still somehow getting burnt out. We're still somehow living big paycheck to big paycheck, little paycheck to little paycheck. Or day to day, not knowing where our next sense of fulfillment is going to come from, not knowing where our next big victory is going to come from, not knowing if we're ever going to achieve another milestone again. Productivity is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters the most. Intentionality equals aligned productivity. And the letter I is for intentionality. So let's get to it. So what does it actually mean to live and work with intentionality? Choosing actions that align with long-term goals, values, and purpose rather than reacting to immediate demands is what we mean when we talk about intentionality in the context of our productivity series. And Dr. Stephen Covey, author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, a book that we've talked about a lot here on the channel, his principle of begin with the end in mind directly aligns with intentionality. It's about making that constitution for yourself that you filter every single action that you're about to undertake. You filter every single habit that you have, every single belief that you have, every single thought that you have, every single behavior that you have. And you look at it through the lens of, does this get me to where I want to go in the future? Does this set me up for the life that I want to live? If I want to have fulfilling relationships with my children, does spending more and more time at the dead-end job allow me to do those things, knowing that that job has no opportunities for advancement, knowing that that job is not going to care about me the way that my kids are going to care about me, knowing after 50 years that job is going to give me a gold watch, but my kids are the ones who are going to give me fulfillment. They're going to give me legacy. They're going to make me feel like I did something with my life. So this Saturday, taking that when they call you and they ask you, can you work? Or going to take part in something that your kid is trying to do, that your kid wants to do. And how do I know if I'm being productive or just busy? Productivity without intentionality is just motion without direction. Write down one thing you did today that truly mattered, and then one thing that just filled time. I want you to think about the small tasks. I want you to think about every small task that you do day by day, week by week, month by month. And I want you to ask yourself, was I really being productive? Was I being intentional with my productivity? Or was I just filling time? Was I just doing busy work? Was I just looking busy? Or was I really being busy? And why does intentionality matter so much in the brain and in the body? Roy Baumeister, PhD, social psychologist and co-author of Willpower, his research shows that decision fatigue weakens self-control and productivity, but intentional focus reduces wasted choices. And also Matthew Killingsworth, Daniel Gilbert, Harvard psychologist. Their 2010 study in Science found that mind wandering lowers happiness, while intentional focus raises satisfaction and performance. So listen, I want you to think about what happens if we just go on autopilot. What happens if we don't fully immerse ourselves? And we talked about this last week in our mindfulness series. Immersion can actually help our productivity as well. What happens when we don't fully throw ourselves into what we are doing with intention? When we are just doing something that we know is just busy work, that we know is not adding up to the bigger picture. So we just go on autopilot. We just go through the motions. What's the difference between that autopilot and doing something with intention? What's the difference between going into something knowing exactly what you want from it, exactly how it's going to look, exactly what it's going to do, exactly what amount of effort you need to put in at different stages of it, and knowing what results it will give you in the long run, and knowing how it builds to where you want to go? What's the difference? What do you think is the difference for you? I know the difference is for me. And a lot of times this is something that I can go back to my experiences being in prison. Is that I knew when I got out, I wanted to build this. I knew when I got out, I wanted to start creating this. I knew that I wanted to help people. I knew that I wanted to give back to people. I knew that I wanted to try and reach people in a way that they would never have to make the mistakes that I did. So instead of just reading for entertainment all the time, instead of just working out all day, instead of just playing sports and running around, walking around, talking and bullshitting, I took the time to create the things that I knew were going to be beneficial for what I was trying to create in the future. Even though I had no structure for it, I had literally nothing in sight that I could see, that I could even really imagine or flesh out being behind the walls, that I could actually relate what I was trying to do to it. Sometimes intentionality means that you're doing stuff based upon where you hope to be, based upon where you hope it will get you to. And I think that's the difference between the autopilot. Because autopilot, if we don't know where something can get us, we could just kind of go through it, go through the motions, just kind of put the base amount of effort, not fully give our all to it. But if we're intentional with it, I think it gives us a greater chance of getting us to where we want to go. If we are fully intentional with every bit of it that we do, to the point where people are like, man, he's doing too much, or he's going overboard with what he's trying to do. He's putting his effort in, all of his effort, into everything. And one of the things that I want you to think about is, when's the last time that you thought you might have been doing too much for something that you loved, something that you wanted to chase? When did it become cool not to try? If you don't decide your day will decide for you. If you don't decide where you want things to go, they will decide where they're going to take you. Tomorrow, pick one priority and protect it. Try intentional focus just for one task. Try intentional focus for something that you have already established for yourself. Because if you've been watching me for this long, you've already started to think about where you want to go. You've already started to think about where you want to be in 5 years. You've already started to think about where you want to be next year. You've already started to think about what tasks are going to add up to it. And I want you to add that extra oomph, that extra bit of intentionality to it. I want you to see how it changes the relationship that you have with that task. I want you to see how much more productive you are with that task instead of going on autopilot. So how do we shift from distraction-driven to intention-driven productivity? There are some practical steps that we can use here. One of the ones that I suggest, obviously, is going back to the Covey quadrant planning, where you think about your quadrant 2 activities, the important but not urgent activities, and you fully engage those with intentionality. You schedule them with intentionality. You engage them with intentionality. You follow through with intentionality all the way from the start to the end. And here are some other ones. Start each day with a top 3 priorities list. Use time blocking to give intention a home. This comes from Cal Newport, PhD at Georgetown, professor and author of Deep Work. And number 3, practice micro reflections. Does this action move me closer to my vision? Every action that you do, everything that you undertake, think about, how does this take me closer to where I'm trying to go? Does this even take me closer to where I'm trying to go? Or is this just about making somebody else money? Is this about protecting somebody else's bottom line? And am I doing that with so much intentionality that I don't have the energy to do the things that I want to do for myself with that level of intentionality? See, one of the things that we think about is this, is that if one of the roles that you have assigned for yourself, right, based upon 7 habits, we discover the roles that we want to fulfill with our lives, right? If one of the roles is not like to be the employee of the month or to successfully climb the ladder at this one company, right? And you know that you have the talent to do everything that is expected of you without wasting every little bit and every little ounce of your energy so that you go home with nothing left in the tank, then I think what you're doing is you are not being intentional. Even though you think you're being intentional because you're giving your all at work. You're giving your everything because that's what you were taught to do, to be the hard worker and to be the busy bee. If you are not leaving something in the tank to be intentional with what you want to build for yourself outside of work hours, then you are just being distraction driven. You're actually sitting in the quadrant 3 activities, because the quadrant 2 are the things that are not urgent to anybody, but important for you. Quadrant 3 activities are the things that are urgent for everyone else and for you, but not important to you. These are the things, and they come in and say, look, we need to meet this quota. We need ideas on how to drive profits higher. We need ideas on how to do this. We need you to get on this. We need you to do that. And you think because it makes you a little bit more money, it might get you a little bit of a bonus. But if your role in 5 years does not include that company, then that is distraction-driven productivity. Intentional-driven productivity is the fact that you say, look, in 5 years, I want to utilize the pay that I've got from this company to springboard myself somewhere else, but I know that I have to build it outside of work hours. That is intentional. That is what goes on your top 3 priorities list. That is what you time block for your hours after work. And those are the things that you micro reflect on to say, does this actually take me closer to where I want to be? Does this take me closer to where I need to be with my life? Or does it take them closer to where they need to be? The people who don't even are not even required to give you notice if they need to lay you off. The people who have made it more clear over time that they're not going to honor you with grace, they're not going to honor you with mercy, they're not going to honor you with their best. And you can give them your best while you're there. But don't give them so much of yourself that you are completely distraction driven and not intention driven towards productivity. Listen, not only in prison, but outside of prison, when I got into college, time can be wasted easily. Intentionality meant choosing to learn. It means choosing to read. It means choosing to prepare. It means recording. Even now that I have this new job, even now that I'm about to start at another university, I've transferred from BC, I'm going to another university, it still means choosing to prepare for a future life instead of falling into the cycle. Because where I'm at now is not where I want to be in 5 years. Where I'm at now is just another step in that 5-year plan, that 10-year plan, that 15-year plan. And I want you to think about where those plans take you. Now, one of the things you can think about is if your plan does not include the material things, if your plan includes family, I want you to think about how easy it is to waste your family time. Waste the opportunities to fully be there, to be intentional, to be productive, mindful, emotionally available for your children, for your wife, for whoever is there with you. I want you to think about how much time can be easily wasted by chasing roles, chasing promotions, chasing a bigger check, chasing all these things when you have already decided that that's not your most important thing. I want you to think about how easily time can be wasted if you're trying to write that book and you don't utilize every moment that you have off the clock. I want you to think about how much time can be wasted. I want you to really just look up from where you're at right now. And I want you to think about how much time you have wasted, how much time you have missed the opportunity to put into the things that you've had. I want you to really think about that. I want you to really look up and say, damn, like I really chased down this rabbit hole on something else. I really got successful on something else. I really put my energy into something else. I really followed something else. I really got distracted by something else. And I wasted a lot of time on what it is that I wanted to do, on where it is that I wanted to go, on the dreams that I wanted to chase because somebody else told me. Because somebody else told me this is where I needed to be. Because somebody else told me this is where I needed to go. Because somebody else told me not to chase that, but to chase this. Because somebody else told me that this is where I needed to go. I need you to listen to where you want to go. And then I need you to apply them to these 3 things. These 4 things, actually. I need you to listen to where you want to go and the roles that you want to fulfill in your life. And I want you to start planning for them today and be intentional about them today. And guess what? You can do it in as little as an hour. And that is the essence of the free hour. Everybody has a free hour. Even if you're working 2 jobs, you have 1 free hour. Even if you got kids, you got 1 free hour. Even if you can't find the time to do anything else, you have 1 free hour. And I guarantee you that you've wasted that hour. That's 365 hours a year that you could have put into something. Even if you only did it in 45-minute increments and you took that last 15 to reflect on how well you did it, you have the time to be intentional driven. So how do I make intentional choices daily, even under pressure? Discipline. Discipline makes intentionality practical. It's about being impeccable with your word, not only to those people out there, not only to the people that you've signed employment contracts with, not only to your bosses, not only to your significant others, not only to your kids, but to yourself. You told yourself you were going to do this thing. You told yourself this is what you wanted. You told yourself that this is what you were going to chase. You told yourself that I decide my happiness. I decide where I go. I am the driver of my car. I'm the writer of my own story. You told yourself all of these things and then stopped short of even beginning to chase after those things. Or maybe you started to chase and you stopped after a few steps. Or maybe you went a year and then stopped after that year. Maybe you even went 5 years and you saw that it wasn't going the way that you thought it was going to go or growing as fast as you wanted to grow and stopped chasing it. But the thing about it is that you told yourself doing it. You told yourself being in it. You told yourself immersing yourself in it. You told yourself the journey itself and not the destination was what fulfilled you, was what made you happy, but you got distracted. Go back to intention. Go back to being intentionally purpose-driven. Go back to being intentionally minded with what it is that you're trying to do, and discipline is what makes that practical. Discipline is what makes that practical. Being impeccable with your word is what makes that practical because you said that you were going to do it. The fact that the only person you told you were going to do it is you doesn't change the fact that you need to hold yourself accountable for what you said you were going to do. Pause before your next task. Is this urgent or is this important? After you get off work and you think about what your day after work is going to look like, I want you to pause and I want you to think about the things that you're going to do. Are these things urgent? Are these things important? Who are they important to? Who are they urgent for? Where am I going with this? When you utilize your lunch break, are you scrolling while you eat? Are you learning for what you're going to do after work? How important are those things? Are they led by intention or are they led by distractedness? So here's a real secret though. Intentionality, it beats motivation every time. Motivation is emotional, it's fleeting. Intentionality is value-driven and sustainable. Listen, James Clear, he wrote Atomic Habits. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. The thing about motivation is this: motivation is normally external. You see something, you hear something, you're triggered by something, you come across something, and it lights a fire in you that sparks motivation. The systems that you have in place, like having a free hour system, like having a morning system like the Miracle Morning that I talked about before, your quadrant system of having your scheduling, your automation, your batching, all the things that we've talked about. You always fall to the level of those systems. You don't rise to the level of your goals. So here's the thing. When you think about where it is that you are trying to go, don't live in that fiery passion, the air up there when you're soaring to a different height, when you're thinking about these lofty goals and where they can take you. The inspiration that you got to chase that dream. You need to think about what makes a person who lives those dreams today. What did they do every day to get to those dreams? What does a day in that life look like? Because they didn't start where they're at now. They started somewhere else. Think about where they started and how they got there. Think about where they were before that, how they got there. Think about what they did every single day. Did they work? Okay, cool. What did they do after work? What did they do at work? How did they interact with their kids? How did they interact with the world? How did they show up every day for themselves? And I guarantee you that they had a system that they developed that pushed them to do these things even when they didn't want to. Because that's $1 million question. How do I stay productive even when I don't feel like it? It's having that system. Because motivation can get you started, but intentionality keeps you consistent. When you plan your week, plan it with the intention of getting to a result, even if that result is years down the line. Even if that result is decades down the line. Even if that result is months and months and years down the line. Intentionality keeps you consistent because it's what keeps your eye on the prize. There are going to be times when your motivation has to get down there with you in the trenches. It has to crawl through the mud with you. It has to work with you. And your motivation is going to get tired. Your motivation is going to get all sweaty. Your motivation is going to quit on you. But I guarantee you, intentionality is going to be right there with the shovel, shoveling shit with you every single day, as long as you think about where this task is taking you. Think about the last time you pushed through without feeling like it. That's intentionality. Think about the last time when you didn't feel like going to the gym, but you ended up driving over there anyway. You didn't feel like doing the workout, but you kind of started warming your body up. You didn't feel like it, but you loaded some weight on the bar. And you didn't feel like it, but you got under that bar. And you didn't feel like it, but you got it off the rack. And you didn't feel like it, but you got your first warm-up set out the way. And you didn't feel like it, but you cranked the music in your headphones. And you didn't feel like it, but you loaded up some more weight on the rack. And you didn't feel like it, but you kept going. And you didn't feel like it, but you ended up having one of the best workouts of your life. And you didn't feel like it because you were sore, but you went back the next day. And you didn't feel like it because the food don't taste good, but you kept just shoveling all that plain chicken and those sweet potatoes that you've been having for months and months and months, and that cup and a half or 1 cup of broccoli. And you didn't feel like it, but you got up and you went to work. And you didn't feel like it, but you hugged your wife. And you didn't feel like it, but you gave her a kiss and said, you know what, I love you. You didn't feel like it, but you built the life that you got now. And you didn't feel like it, but you did it anyway. That's intentionality. That is intentionality. So where does this fit into your life right now? And why this matters? Intentionality builds on habits, and it sets the foundation for deeper productivity work. My whole life, I was at the whims of somebody else. I was a product of my environment. I was raised the way I was raised. I was in this environment. I just became what I became because of who I was around. And I was only in jail because I got told on, and I only did those things because I needed the money. And, I was always a victim. I was always an innocent bystander in my own life for some reason. But when my story became about me, when I stopped saying them, they, he, her, she, him, you, and I started saying me, I am, I will, this is what I'm going, this is how I feel, this is what I did, these were my choices and my habits, and I started becoming proactive instead of reactive, and I stopped letting myself be shaped by every single force that pushed on me from the outside. And I started intentionally laying the groundwork for everything that I was going to do. And even though I was in prison, I literally started planning my day hour by hour. And I was getting myself ready to plan my day hour by hour when I was going to be working at 3 different jobs and going to school at BC. Now I'm graduated. I'm working one main job that is going to start to be a pretty big demand on my time. I'm going to be doing even more classes at Cal State Bakersfield. And then I'm going to be doing other things. I got to do, community service. I'm going to be volunteering. I'm going to be doing all sorts of different things, leadership positions. And I got myself ready because I was proactive back when I thought I had all the time in the world. Back when I thought I had all the time in the world to just do whatever I wanted, I planned my day hour by hour. So now that I'm ready for this thing to be a thing, for this thing to be needed, for this thing to be important, I've already done it. Now that I'm getting older and my health is becoming more of a concern, I've already developed a habit of being mindful of my weight, and mindful of what I eat, and mindful of the workouts that I do. Now that these things are important, I've already been proactive. Now that opportunities are here, I'm already proactive. Now that there's more distractions, though, I'm already proactive. And that's why it's important, because being proactive instead of reactive, the bridge to go from reactive to proactive is intentionality. Intentionality is freedom. It is the freedom to choose your future instead of repeating your past. Because if we don't think about our past, if we don't actively avoid our past, a lot of times we are doomed to repeat. We are doomed to repeat our histories. We are doomed to go through the same cycle over and over and over again. If we don't proactively try to seek out new and better and more healthy relationships, we will repeat the cycle of old unhealthy relationships. If we don't actively seek out and be proactive with and intentionally work ourselves into becoming a better version of ourselves, we will end up with the same results that we've always had. So don't just chase productivity. Chase purpose. This week, choose one intentional action and build around it. Choose one intentional action and build around it. And that's what I want you to focus on, your free hour practice for this week. Choosing one intentional action and building around it. Thinking about where it's going to take you. Writing down where it is that you want to go and reverse engineering that bad boy. What is it that you want to be? Where is it that you want to go? How is it that you want to end up? And then I want you to think about one action that you can take today that builds up to that. All right? And that's it. Thank you once again for watching. Thank you once again for tuning in. It's been your boy Trevor Turner, and that has been our productivity series. Letter I, intentional.
I'm Trevor Turner. Once lost, now living on purpose. I know what it's like to feel locked out of your own potential. This show is for the ones who are ready to take their power back and write a new story, 1 hour at a time. You can do it. You can do anything, and you don't need permission. That's why I started the free hour, to give people the space to change their story, to remind them you are not your past, you are not your mistakes, you are not done, you are powerful. You can find freedom, you can find yourself, and you decide what happens next.